Hello guys, I am Sandeep Kumar Sinha. Welcome back once again to my channel with a new topic. Today I will discuss and explain the short run equilibrium output, that is determination of income and employment using aggregate demand, aggregate supply approach. Now, equilibrium level of income and employment is determined at that level where the aggregate demand is just equal to aggregate supply. That is, the condition of equilibrium is AD is equal to A. What does it mean, aggregate demand? Aggregate demand simply means the total amount of expenditures in the economy. That is, it is that level of output that the purchasers plan to purchase during an accounting year. And what is aggregate supply? Which is equivalent to the national income. That is, it is that level of output which the producers plan to produce during an accounting year. Whenever the total level of output that the purchasers plan to purchase becomes equal to the level of output that the producers plan to produce, then the equilibrium is established in the economy. It means it is the interaction of the purchasers and the producers of all the output that determine the equilibrium level of output in the economy. Let us explain this theory of aggregate demand and aggregate supply equilibrium with the help of a schedule as well as a figure. Here this schedule shows the columns of income, consumption, savings, investment, aggregate demand and aggregate supply. The income gradually increases by 1000 crore, and there at the different level of income the different consumption expenditures are there and savings are there. Investment is taken to be of autonomous nature, that's why I value is taken to be here constant at 400 crores rupees. Now what is aggregate demand? That is consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure, sum total of C plus I, that is equal to aggregate demand. So AD is equal to C plus I. So whenever this C plus I, these are the various amount of aggregate demand at different levels of income in the economy. Similarly, aggregate supply is equal to consumption expenditure plus savings. The sum total of C and S, that gives us the value of aggregate supply, that is the simple equivalent to the national income, and that's why this is equal to, this is 0, then 0, 1000, 1000 means AS is equal to Y, and that is equal to C plus S. What we observe in the beginning, that the aggregate demand is more than aggregate supply from 0 level of income to 3000 rupees crore income. The aggregate demand is more than the aggregate supply, and in this situation there would be an increase in income and employment in the economy, means there would be a shift from these levels of income. Whenever the economy is operating at these levels of income, means equilibrium cannot be established because there is a tendency to shift. There would be an increase in the income level, and so far as this 4000 crore income is concerned in the economy, at this level of income 4000, aggregate demand is also 4000, aggregate supply is also 4000 crore, and that is AD is equal to AS, and therefore it is the point of equilibrium. And now beyond this level of income 4000, that is at 5000 or 6000 crore, what is the simple observation? That aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply, and in this situation there would be a gradual decrease in income and employment, means there is a tendency to shift from this level of income, and therefore equilibrium can also not be established at this level of income 5000 or 6000. It is only this at this level 4000 crore that the equality between the two, that is aggregate demand and aggregate supply, and that the equilibrium is established in the economy. Similarly, in this figure we observe that this is the aggregate supply curve, that is 45-degree line, which is equivalent to the national income, that is C plus S, and this is the aggregate demand curve, which is equal to C plus I, that is consumption expenditure and plus investment expenditure. Now these two curves intersect at the point E, and therefore E is the point of equilibrium where AD is just equal to AS. What is AD? That is EY, and what is AS? That is OY. That is EY is equal to OY at this equilibrium level of income, that is OI, and OI is the equilibrium level of income in the economy where aggregate demand and aggregate supply both become equal. The equilibrium would never be established at OY dash or OY double dash because of the tendency to shift. Means if AD is more than or less than the aggregate supply, then there would be an interaction between AD and AS, and that will lead to ultimate equilibrium. That is, equilibrium can only be established at OY level of income where the AD is equal to AS. Now there are two cases of disequilibrium, whether AD is more than AS, here also AD is more than AS, or AD is less than AS, AD is less than AS. Then how again is the equilibrium established in the economy? Let's have a look at these two situations one by one separately. Now let's have a look at the two cases of disequilibrium. If aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply, then what would be the net impact? There would be dumping of goods in the economy due to deficiency of demand in the economy. There would be unsold stocks in the economy, means unsold stocks would increase, that is, there is an increase in inventory stock, and that would result in an increase in competition among the sellers of the product in the economy, and that causes a fall in the price level in the economy, and the producers are induced to cut down their level of production, means output would decrease, there would be an decrease in employment, decrease in output, and that would cause a decrease in the total national income in the economy. That is, aggregate supply goes on decreasing till it becomes equal to the aggregate demand and equilibrium is established once again in the economy. Similarly, if aggregate demand is more than aggregate supply, then there would be an increase in the competition among the purchasers of the goods in the economy, and that would result in the rise in the price level in the economy. And this situation of excess demand brings abnormal profits in the economy. Producers are induced to expand the level of production, and that would cause an increase in employment and resulting in an increase in output and income in the economy, and therefore aggregate supply goes on increasing till it becomes equal to aggregate demand, and again the equilibrium is established. So in these two situations of disequilibrium, equilibrium can never be established at that level of income because there is a tendency on the part of the economy to shift on either side, and therefore equilibrium is established only at that level where aggregate demand just becomes equal to the aggregate supply. That is all about the aggregate demand, aggregate supply approach, where the condition is that whenever the level of output that the producers plan to produce becomes equal to the level of output which the purchasers plan to purchase, when these two become equal, that is when aggregate demand and aggregate supply are equal, then the equilibrium would be established. That is all about the equilibrium part using aggregate demand, aggregate supply approach. See you again in the next video with a new topic. Till then, keep learning and keep watching my videos. Thank you very much.